So, I had an overwhelming response to my fishing video from the other day talking about jerkbaits and whatnot and the different ones and what I showed. The one thing that I didn't have a chance, because I got an important phone call in the middle of me filming the video that I filmed. So it split it in two parts. I've decided to redo the first video that I did because I feel more of an explanation of certain things is in order. It's primarily for friends of mine at work that fish, in particular Joseph. I wanted to show you exactly what I'm talking about with the bait cast. So, to start off with, typical bait cast, right? This is a Shimano Chronarch 200 E7. It's not the widest that they have, but it still carries more than enough line. But it's a 7:0 to 1 ratio. It's a very high speed reel. There are ones that are made faster than that. I find that it's more than enough for anything I'm going to do. Now, right now I have 12-pound standard mono on here, and I'm not going to be using these jerk baits on here on this line because the line has too much stretch. I can't get the action that I did before with braid. So, baitcaster. The basic principle of this wand right here, the star, is the drag itself. There's this knob right here. It's always on. Well, it depends. If you're left-handed and have the left-handed reel, everything's flip-flopped. But this is for the weight of the lure itself, whatever's tight on the end. All it does is puts tension on the the bearings on the inside of this portion of the reel, so that it slows down the rotation of the spool on the inside. Okay, that's all it does. So, on the flip side, I'm going to try to do this without fucking everything up. I have a flip open. This is the inside of mine, okay? These magnets are actually on the spool itself. This is called a quick release system. If I go to Shimano, I can get extra spools and change my lines out instantly. I'm sorry, I just don't see spending $40 to $60 for a single spool and having 5 or 6 so I can change it out. I use my line for pretty much everything that I use this rod for. Why change my line? It makes no sense to me to take more time to do something when I can do almost everything this rod does and do it with one line. So I don't have extra spools. However, this particular one, they average around 189 to 220 depending where you buy them. I special ordered from Bass Pro on this particular one with brass gears, not the stainless that typically come. This added another around $40 to the cost. So with the 2-year protection plan, which is well over now, and the cost of this reel was almost $300. Yes, it is expensive, but that is the lower mid-level of Shimano's line, believe it or not. It's actually not the most expensive. The rod that I have is a Ducket. This is called a Ghost. It's actually their lower end. You see that there's these micro guides. They're very, very, very small. What it does is it keeps that line along the center line of the rod. It's a 7-foot. It's a medium heavy action with a fast tip. Fast means that the tip returns fast. Moderate means that it doesn't return as fast. It leaves more of a bend when you hook a fish. Slow, moderate, and slow are even slower. They just don't react as fast. It's called a reaction rod. So this is the one that I use for, say, like crankbaits, spinner baits, swim baits, crankbaits, any of those things that are a reaction strike, this is good for. It also works for poppers because I don't have to move poppers a lot to make the action, and I have a lot of strength in it. But the problem that I have, and the reason I'm not going to use the jerkbaits anymore, is that after I cast, I have to convert to an over the arm way. Because these things, when you jerk them in the water, you're literally jerking the rod. And with this type of rod and over the arm, it's not comfortable. The control is lost. You see, I have to pivot with the wrist to do it. That's not comfortable. So, that being said, I have this set up. Now you'll notice that this one is cork. It's got a little bit of the neoprene in the back, and it's cork again on the butt part. On all of my spinning and my bait casts, I always have a separated section. The only one I don't have that with is my primary ultralight. It's a full cork all the way down. That's because it's an ultralight and I need all the sensitivity I can get. Cork is extremely sensitive, but it's extremely expensive. So this one is also a Duckett. It's my most recent purchase. I have my light action, which is kind of an ultralight, but not quite. It's a little bit more backbone on most of the rod. Between the three of those setups, the rods, the reels, those three alone, I have over $700 in. That's not a lot in fishing, but you can be a lot more budget-minded. This particular rod was about $160. It's got a 5-year full warranty for defect or normal use breakage through Duckett fishing. Apply it right online, and I did. And then I have a Penn Fierce 2, which is a saltwater. It's in a 2500 size. 2500 is a little bit above ultralight into the medium spectrum, but this reel is about 1.5 times heavier than its comparative freshwater because of the drag that it has in it for saltwater. It has up to an 18-pound drag. The next nearest competitor in Shimano in a freshwater version only has, I think it's a 6 to 8. This thing's a monster, but it's fucking heavy. This rod is another medium heavy, fast tip. This is my go-to for jerkbaits, drop shots, lizards. I have a Carolina rig on this one. So that's what this one is for. More of the things that require an instant jerk. It's much easier for me being right-handed and having fingertip type control on this to get that pop out of the tip, that sharp pat that you do with a jerk bait with this type of rod and reel anytime you have spinning. In fact, in ultralight, and it's becoming more predominant now than it used to be, is a trend toward people getting the light and the ultralights, which are very much smaller rods, and they are, their namesake, they're very light, and getting these Rebel and Rapala little mini jerkbaits. There's some that suspend where they go to a certain depth with the lip and they stay there. There's some that are slow risers, there's some that are slow sinkers, and then there's countdowns that sink really fast. People are getting really now into the micro-sizing of things because there's a lot of times where fish in general, they'll just be in a state where they don't want to eat. I am two ways when I fish. Either really stealthy and natural, or I'm like an assault team. I come in, and if you're a bass, they make you pay attention with something really noisy, and it has worked for me very well. I prefer bait cast for about 90% of what I do, but when it comes to getting more finesse, and these jerkbaits, I'm telling you, they annihilate jerkbaits. During the hot summertime, when they're much more active, the jerks are a lot quicker. Line up, jerk, line up, pop. There's not as much of a pause. Right now, because it's still cold, and during the wintertime in general, they are very lethargic. They don't want to eat anything. And when they do, it's because it's easy to get. but you're tricking their brain into the reaction of a predator, because that's what they are. They're an apex predator. They're basically a predatory garbage can, is what it amounts to. They'll eat pretty much anything they can get their mouths around, including each other. So you're trying to trick them into that reaction. And essentially what you do when it's cold with any bait is fish it very slow. You keep it in that strike zone where they're at longer periods of time. It's tedious, but if you're trying to get a big fish, you're going to take your time. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I take it really serious when I'm out there, because my goal, for me personally, is not the amount I'm getting, it's the size of what I'm getting. That's my primary goal as a bass fisherman, or all the panfish that I go after. So, to shed a little more light. Back to the bait caster. So, the drag portion is really not as much of a concern when you cast one of these things as the rod and the lure weight. The lure weight is astronomically important. It's actually more important than the magnets on the other side of the spool. Now, my magnets, I have set only one of them on. All the other 7 are off. I have an 8-star system in my spool. I cast these all the time. I'm just really, really used to it. If I took it all the way off and I had to tighten up the lure weight portion, this knob, more, I could still cast it and would cast even further, but the control is, it's much more spastic. You're working at it more. I don't want to have to work. I'm clockwork with this rod and reel as it sits now. But this one's different. It's more advanced. It doesn't have the magnet settings on the outside. Most of the mid to lower level ones have it on the outside where you just turn it. And the magnets are actually in the outer portion of this. This one's on my spool itself. It's one of the reasons I love Shimano's. I can take the spool out quick if I have line issues, and the magnets are great. In fact, I had it over 2 years before I legitimately cleaned it. I took it down to the last spring, and it took me about 2.5 hours to find 2 of the springs out in a couple of the washers where they actually went. I felt really fucking stupid, actually, because I should have labeled everything. But, dude, when I put the grease and the oil back on this thing, it casts even further. And Shimano says in their paperwork on most of the reels, after an extended break-in period of time, you will notice after your first cleaning, professional or otherwise, you'll have increased performance. They are not kidding. This is the best money I've probably ever spent. And I pulled in those massive bass in El Salto in Mexico with this reel. This was the one that I used. But it was on one of their rods. And it's actually a really good rod. I want to get one, but they're $400. So yeah, with the spinning rods, it's more of the soft applications. It's problematic for me to use the spinning rod because it's just that reel's so heavy. They're still light, but because the reel's heavy and it sits in your hand heavier, it gets tiresome after a while manipulating it. Where the bait cast is so well balanced all the way around. I mean, it really is. Just, it's crazy how well balanced it is. My ultralight, which is a Carbon Light 6'6" light action fast tip, and a Pflueger President 1500 size special edition. It's got better gears in it. It weighs less than a pound. It's hilarious how light it is. My other ultralight was a 7-foot, very cheap setup. It's only like a $30 reel and a $40 rod that I put together myself because they balance really well together. It's my workhorse one. The Carbon Light one is more of my finesse. I take that out when I'm like doing some really serious searching and fishing. And I have some other mediocre ones that I got for my kids and put together over time, and I've replaced rods and reels. And I've got one that's directly over the boat rod and reel. It's only a 4'6". But my primary are those 3. But show off on the road. But that's the reason I do those. So I hope that gives you a little bit more introspection.